What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition
Hold
of the
on.
Sarlacc
You
Digest.
guys were live. Turn your fucking phones on. Turn your phones on. Sorry. They want to know when we're going live. Sorry.
And we're live right now. Woo! Let me start that intro over.
It wasn't me for once.
It wasn't. I thought it was the normal interrupting intro.
That was a totally innocent seeming shut the fuck up to his family, not knowing we were going to be
Okay, so far that's
No, I was
two
telling them
for
to turn their
YouTube.
phones on so they can watch.
All right,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
Two.
We're now officially PG-13.
That's two.
We're getting to the R level.
All right,
Jeepers.
here we go.
All right.
What's
Sorry,
up,
Chris.
everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Sarlacc Digest, a podcast bringing you line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 74, which is also our 3rd year anniversary of doing this small little Star Wars podcast.
Ow.
I am your host, Darth Moocher, and I'm joined here, YouTube live in this, so it is what it is. There is no editing. Chris, Darth Dad,
Yo.
what's up, man?
Nada.
We've got Scott Solo in the house.
Hey, what's up, nerds?
We've got Bootleg Joe.
Hey, episode 74. That's the year I was born.
Me too.
You're so old.
Hey, hey now.
Wow.
We
Not old.
got an invader. Fanboy Mike is in the house.
Finally, Fanboy Mike has come to Sarlacc.
Don't do that, please.
Wow. And
I think you just broke everything.
and of course
All right,
we've
guys, I'll see you later.
we've got Ernie the Fallen Fett, which is not on video, but we can hear his beautiful voice. What's up, Ernie?
Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for joining us here on YouTube Live. We really appreciate it. We're trying to do the best that we can here in this situation and still bring a good quality show to you guys. Talk some Star Wars, get our minds off things. So be sure and tell your friends to check us out. We have now moved to YouTube from the Instagram stuff. This is our 2nd try at going at it. Someday we will be back in the Star Wars room and getting all this taken care of the right way. But for now, please come tell your friends right now. Let's get into some chat. Let's get into some talk, some news, because there is news, even though you may not think that there is, there definitely is. And we're going to get into it. Not only that, then you can stare at Chris's brand new machine back there as well, too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So envious right now.
Chris got a
Yeah.
brand new toy.
I put it there for you to see in all its glory.
Look at that. Jeez.
For the audio listeners, it is the Star Wars arcade machine.
So great.
What is it? The arcade one up? What is it called?
Yeah, I think it's the arcade 1-up.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Arcade went up.
So yeah, when this whole thing is over, we can get back to normal and see each other in real life. You know, I put my quarter. I have my slot for the quarter that's going to go right on top there. And
Right
you
on.
keep the quarter, Chris. By the way.
Oh, thanks. I'll put a little jar there. We can fill it up.
Yes.
I tell you what. It's you hear it now?
Yeah. We can hear
It
going
just
on.
goes off randomly. So I'm telling you, if I never even play this damn thing, right? If I just let it sit there, it's a cool conversation piece, neat add to the room.
Oh, it's awesome.
It just completes the
Well, I'm
office.
staring
No,
at the scrolling text that's keep going up, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, that is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Just out
It's-
alone.
It's mad nostalgia for me. I don't know about you guys, if any of you have actually played that version in the old
Absolutely.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes me back to a childhood of Whiskey Pete's at State Line.
Yes.
They had it right when you walked in, and I was there for hours. As a family, ate, used the bathroom, did a little bit of gambling before we saw our other family. And if you remember, it was that, and then it was Outrun. They had Arachnoid next to it as well. And
Yep.
your uncle, whoever, would give you a roll of quarters, and you stayed there forever playing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
dude.
for me it was this and Tron at the Star Trader at Disneyland.
Which Tron?
Yep.
Which Tron?
Yeah.
The disc?
The original Tron.
Well, okay, not disc. You know the what was it?
No,
called?
not Discs of Tron.
I love
Not
Disc of Tron. That was I
remember playing this game in
I love the
Long
old
Beach
school.
on there's a bowling alley on Cherry Avenue in Long Beach that we used to go to, and yeah, that was a go-to.
Mm-hmm. That in
Circus.
Indiana Jones, the hard-ass Indiana Jones game, the Temple of Doom one. That was the the minecart escape or whatever. But yeah,
I remember that.
yeah, hard game.
It was
But
that one. It was that one in Dungeons and Dragons. That was the one
Dragon
that
Slayer.
it was
Dragon Slayer, baby.
Dragon
Dragon
Yeah.
Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dragon
yeah, dude.
Slayer.
I'm so
Where you
jealous,
are the-
Chris.
The
I want
valiant
that.
hero.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm happy. I hadn't done anything in a while. You know, I went through a couple of years of weirdness. So that was my big treat after
That is
coming
a big
out
treat,
of all
man.
of it.
That is a
So-
big treat.
That is.
You
I'm
deserve
I
it,
got
buddy.
the Mortal Kombat one, man, and that thing. I know how you feel, Chris.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just love it being there. So I just gotta adjust and figure out where it's really gonna stay, but it's in here somewhere. It might just stay there.
Nice.
No, that's very awesome, Chris. Congrats.
Thanks.
And it looks beautiful. As all the guys said, you do deserve it. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Everybody goes through lots of crap. And when you have something to show off like that after, when things kind of get to our own set of normal, and now, like you said, a great conversation piece, and like that's such nostalgia, that's awesome.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I just wanted to
that's
throw that out there, get it over
Thanks.
with. But Marco, what
Yeah.
news do we got?
Oh, man.
Because
Yeah.
if I kept just seeing it, staring at it, and it's gonna be at the tip of my tongue the whole time.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's what she said. And then go ahead, Marco.
Well, yes, we are on YouTube. So, again, everybody, thank you for joining us on this platform and stuff. And we're still little bugs being worked out with Skype, and there's a lot of lag. So bear with us on the video part of it. The audio part will just sound like we're on a Skype call. So, again, we'll get back to normal eventually. But this is good. We've got Star Wars to hold us through these times. We've got each other to hold us through these times. And, again, 3 years of us doing this. And it's you know, you have a little nostalgia trip. 3 years ago, our talk was 1 hour and all about The Last Jedi. And now, you know, we've got platforms here. We've got 6 of us now. We've added Scott to the roster. And again, with this moving forward with YouTube and everything else, man, I think we're here to stay. I think 3 years is a is a mark for us to be like, yeah, we like what we're doing. I don't know.
Can't turn back now.
Yeah, no, we can't turn back now. Exactly. Let's get this one thing over with. Everybody that's going to be joining us in the chat, we'll call them out once they start. But we did 2 giveaways for the Rise of Skywalker digital copies, and we had a little contest on our Instagram page. So the 2 entries that we did have was Jaime and Adam from the RLU fame. So we're going to send you
Urban
guys-
Spidey.
Urban Spidey, yes. We're going to send you guys the digital codes, right, Scott? We have 2 for them.
We've got
Yeah.
one. We've got one.
And then
We've got one.
Okay.
Oh, I got another one. I'll put it in.
There we go.
We'll send them to both a digital copy for participating because those guys, honestly, they take amazing shots anyway. So
Yes, they do.
yeah. So
Both shots.
Yeah, I
both
remember-
shots
okay.
were amazing.
yeah.
What sucks is, Marco, and you'll back this up.
Mhm.
I said as soon as Jaime made that Mandalorian picture,
Yeah.
right, and sent it to us, we shared it.
Yeah.
I asked Marco right then, I need that on a shirt, and I just haven't got Marco the shirt. And then all of a sudden, everything went nuts. Everybody making shirts,
Yeah.
and I was like, forget it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But because I wanted to get that Mandalorian shirt of his toy pick made,
Absolutely.
and just wear it on the show when we were going live. When we were just starting
That's
to
right.
do that.
That's
we could
right.
See it.
As like
But-
and for him to see it that we're wearing this shirt on. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole
we were
plan.
selling them behind his back too. That was the convenient thing, too, so.
It was gonna be just me.
we sent him some royalties. We're not.
So
that-
let me say this. I'm glad there's at least 2 videos, 2 codes we can give them because those 2 picks were like super
They were
hard to
exactly.
judge because
Couldn't pick.
they're both perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do it again. I
Good
have some
shit. I mean, good
ideas
stuff.
for May 4th, since I don't think May 4th we're gonna actually get a chance to get together still. So we'll plan something for May 4th. It is on a Monday, but we'll plan something cool. I'm
Let's
thinking
try a
of
watch party or something
yeah,
like
I'm
that.
thinking of
right?
an Empire Strikes Back watch party, along with some trivia, something like that. Maybe we'll get Zoom going and just have everybody just get in there, as many people as we can, and just kind of kick back and do something for May 4th because we have to. So.
At the very least, trivia.
Oh yeah. I'm sure maybe we can like pause it and do a couple trivia here and there. But yeah, we'll figure it out. I know that a couple people have texted me on the side from the stuff that we've done in the past, and I said no, we're gonna do something, but it's gonna be in this format, the remote format. So, all right. Well, let's go into the news, the Star Wars news. The only thing as far as news wise is that we're getting a 8-part docu-series for The Mandalorian. Coming on Disney Plus as a Disney, what's it called? Disney Gallery. It's called The Mandalorian. 8 episodes. I don't know when it's coming. Did you guys find out a release date? I know it was announced today, but I didn't see a release.
Yes, actually, they were saying it was going to debut on Star Wars Day, May 4th.
Yeah, May
That's
4th.
right. That's right. So
Yeah.
Is it going to be all at once, or is it like weekly?
Knowing Disney Plus, probably not. I would assume weekly.
So maybe we can watch
Yeah.
like episode 1 and then watch a episode 1 series with it or something. But
I'd be cool with that.
yeah, it is funny. We were kind of like discussing in the chat, in our own little chat. Mandalorian
Yeah.
is like half an hour long to 40 minutes long, and you're gonna have a documentary series that is maybe longer. And
Right.
I sat there.
It's like, how do you have 8 episodes of behind the scenes of 8 episodes? I mean, I guess each one's a little movie, and they.
Well, they're probably gonna
it.
do a background on each episode, like a detailed behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I want
For
it
each
all, so
episode?
go for it. Give
Yeah.
me everything.
You know what? I had mentioned in that I would bring this up here. I used to love the behind the scenes stuff and all that kind of thing until we started doing this, because we see behind the curtain quite a bit,
Right.
right? And then it does, after a while, it takes away a bit of the magic, right? I think that's a part of the reason I'm having trouble even with the sequels. Not loving them. I dig the sequels. I just don't watch them all the time like I watch the others, right? And maybe why I'm having trouble with sorry, the music's going off. It's going to
That's
throw
okay.
me.
It's a welcome music. That's fine.
I'm going to unplug it in a second. And
Don't
the
you
problem
dare.
I've been having with the Clone Wars lately
Yeah.
is no one behind the scenes stuff. It just kind of pulls that magic away from me.
I hear you.
I think that's why I'm not excited about this. And I do think it's silly, though. I mean, 8 episodes, about an 8-episode series. You could have given me a 2-hour doc and I'd have been cool. But, I mean, I guess it's like cooking, right? I think it's 4 hours to cook up. Mike, if you clear your throat one more time in the mic, I swear to God. It takes us 4 hours to cook a meal and 10 minutes to eat it. You know, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
So I
That's
guess we
true.
get 4 hours of cooking now behind the scenes.
That's
And
true.
we'll see.
Here's my thing with that. I mean, I like documentary series. I dig them real good. I just don't want to watch a whole show of how fun it was to film this, how great it was to work with this person. I mean, we all know that it was fun for you guys. It was great working with this person. I want to see like in-depth stuff on how
Yeah.
this was done, how that was done.
I think we will, because there was
That's my opinion.
so
I mean,
many different directors involved, and I think we'll get their take and a little bit more of what touch like we've talked about on this show. We've asked what's the difference between this episode and this episode when it seemed to blend, and what did this director bring to it? Why switch directors? Right? We've talked about that amongst us and our group and everything, and like maybe this docuseries will actually open it up to where this director brought this image, or they brought this to the story. Remember, like we said, like maybe Jon Favreau just had the story and just said, here, just point the camera and you guys do whatever. Maybe we'll get some things like these people added more than what we thought, which would be kind of cool too.
Are some of the standards in place though, as far as picture? I mean, like, okay, we're going to say this is the picture that we're going to show. It's not going to be a black and white, or it's not. You get what I'm saying? That's extreme, but you get what I'm saying? How they can change the picture quality or how we're viewing it. You think those things are in place?
As
Number
far as
one, number
director
two.
style. That's what that's what I was
Correct.
saying by style. Yeah, like what did this director bring to this episode? Because there were so many that was doing it, and especially like the rumor mill of season 2 with like Robert Rodriguez doing stuff, right? I want to see what he would bring to it, and that's kind of interesting. But yeah, Chris is kind of right. You spend 4 hours doing something and 10 minutes to eat it, and I think that's what you're gonna get. And me personally, and I'll get you guys' other opinions too, but I'm actually like really, really excited for this because I love behind the scenes. Sometimes more than the
100%.
movies itself, you know, even like for example, Independence Day. I don't like that movie at all, but the DVD it came with, the 3 discs that I have, the collector series, it came with so many cool stuff that I love that stuff more than the movie itself, because I'm into that stuff. I like kind of like Chris said,
Yeah.
pulling behind the curtain a little bit and seeing, you know, what makes things tick in that world.
I like seeing how the secret sauce is made.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
to me, the behind the scenes. I watch every single documentary on a DVD whenever I get it, even if it's a shitty movie. If I buy the DVD and it comes with the documentary, I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm. I hope there's some more commentary in there too, like, you know, with the documentary, like some like we did this scene here because of this reason and everything. So, Ernie,
Well,
what-
I think
I feel like Scott, with kind of what you do in your background, you kind of like the the art of it, right?
Yes.
And seeing that kind of thing, and Marco was seeing the background and that kind of stuff, the technology behind it. I get that, but that's not kind of my thing. And don't get me wrong, I used to like him, I used to watch him, and I still like what's the big one about the original trilogy, the
Empire Dreams.
Empire Dreams. Okay, I love it. It's cool. But even there to that, I've seen so much behind the scenes of the originals. Yeah. You're kind of like, oh yeah, like that's kind of a bummer.
It's gonna be
sometimes if there's a cool story, I dig. But on this one too, we're gonna start seeing how the backgrounds weren't really backgrounds. And I've seen pictures, but once it starts getting into the level of you guys are in a 50-foot by 100-foot room, and I'm like, it's gonna take away a little bit to me. It's gonna feel like prequels, And
it will.
It's weird.
Well, once you see like how the ride actually works, you're kind of like, oh, that's it. Really, it wasn't that spectacular. But
and here's the other part with my week, how weird it is. Okay, I've caught myself, or not week, last couple weeks, I've caught myself being the troll on the internet, but not trying to be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like StarWars.com. Like today, I said, you really need 8 episodes to go over an 8-episode. I don't know why I did it. I haven't been fighting anybody, but I put it on Star Wars' page, right? And when they put on the Clone Wars, when they said that, I'm all, oh, good, we get to an actual arc here that's going to move forward, And there I was trolling, and I'm like, oh no, I just became.
You've become that guy.
When I swore to destroy.
So
I thought your account got hacked.
That's what everybody thinks. No, it was me. I own up to it, and that's the thing. Am I getting jaded by everything? Am I all this stuff? And I don't argue more online, right? But I did that today because I'm getting frustrated with what's coming out right now.
Right.
And I don't know if that's me just waiting for something big to happen after all this stuff. I think they should have come bigger, but
I think it's a combination of that, and I think it's also the cabin fever that's starting to set in. I think if we were actually able to get out of our little hovels and go out into the world, that maybe we would see things a little differently. But I've got a little cloud hanging over my head.
Go ahead. I love it here. I don't feel cabin fever.
I like my home, but
I dig it.
Ernie, what do you think about the docuseries? You are our Mandalorian at arms in our little group here, and seeing more behind the scenes. Do you like that more, or do you want to kind of preserve the mystery, like what Chris is kind of alluding to a little bit, where it's like I just kind of want a good series to go on. I don't really want to delve in and dissect it too much.
Yeah, no, I think it is going to do all of that, everything that you guys said, and then frankly at that point, then I feel then it's just Chris's time to turn it off. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just don't.
Because there is too many people who do like that. I want to see it because I like your idea as far as I want the different directors' perspectives. I do want to see that new technology. I do want to see the arts of the storyboard, because then also in a lot of the arts of the storyboard was what wasn't presented to us, what could have been on the screen and wasn't. Not only that first episode, I want to see everybody's behind the scene when they actually revealed Baby Yoda. Yeah. And to everybody's reaction and what happened and how secret it was, right. And then you move on to the next episode, or things that were actually cut out, the unreleased non-canon stuff that could have been actually. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there was a lot of it with so many different chiefs running the projects.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that pop up. And yet the technology, it is going to be amazing, and it can take away a little bit, but to me, it's that technology was huge. Like I didn't even imagine that they did all that there. So to see it as kind of a trip now to go watch it, rewatch it, and be like, they were in a room the whole time,
right?
And the way the screen is and everything. So I think it could just set up more, or maybe even give hints to the next season. As far as we may have left this out because we need it to come up in season 2. Sure. So I think it's gonna be good. But yeah, if the behind the scenes isn't for you, then it's just one of those, then you just skip it because it will show you too much probably.
Yeah. It's just like, I think the success of that Disney Imagineering story that they had on Disney Plus was.
And I love all those.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Even though it
absolutely
really pull back the curtain and you're like, wow, that was just a screw and a pair of pliers turning that, that whole thing, but it made magic, and that it's just something, like I said, when we binge watch something or more anything Star Wars, we kind of missed it. We didn't get too much in Rogue One. We didn't get too much in Solo. Not even with the sequel trilogy of a lot of we got documentaries, but they're real short, and they were this like here's Finn's story and his path, but no, it's like where's those Empire Dream documentaries like we mentioned before,
Dude. If they do a solo one, it's going to be a wreck.
It will be, but something I kind of want to see that. Yeah.
I'd rather see that part, but just one.
Yeah.
You mean 45 minutes of a story, right?
I want to see Rogue One too, because Rogue One has a really interesting way it got developed to way it was presented to Kathleen Kennedy, and how there was a side project that just kind of took a life on its own. And to me, I think we got one of the best Star Wars movies to come out of the Disney era, if not the best Star Wars movie to come out of that, was a side project by John Knowles. You know what I mean? And John Knowles has been there from day one, and with Lucas, with the prequels, and I want to see more of that because there was rumors in that little documentary from Rogue One there was more projects like that, that are there on the table ready to be produced. But with the Mando one, I think it's gonna get into this this momentum. Yeah, go ahead.
The copy of Rise of Skywalker, I got it from Target. I got the 4K one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that documentary was like 2 hours and something.
Really?
It was a long documentary, but it was really good.
Good. I love
the way they presented everything.
And then their exclusive version came with another documentary that's another hour that's more stuff.
Right.
And I love every second of it. It's great.
Hell yeah. Especially when they showed how they did the scene with Rey and Kylo fighting on the Death Star, the way they showed how they did the water effects. I was like, dang.
Really?
And
stuff like that I like.
Yeah.
And the snake, the big serpent, how it was a practical effect. That is insane.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a real snake.
A real snake?
Totally. Giant snake.
Is that the one that ate Ice Cube and Anaconda? No, that's not the one. Anyway.
It was just a real snake, but they always say it adds 10 pounds, so that's why it looks so big.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all angles and shadows when you make it look bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
For short.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, when you're sending snake pics, you got to.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. There is a technique.
I swear it's really that big.
I get that. Yeah.
It's a science.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's more girth on camera.
Oh man, I see that we have some people in chat. Scott, go ahead and shout them out. Who's in chat with us?
Yeah, we do. We've got. Let me see. Here we go. We've got Mike in the house. Michael Horlings. We've got Douglas, or as he likes to be called, Mando Mike.
Mando Mike.
We've got the Kung Fu Jedi. Douglas Tupper is with us.
Nice.
We've got
Jedi.
Tommy. Tommy's in the house.
What's up, man?
What's up, Tommy?
Let me see who else. And we've got other people too. We've got 8 people in there right now, and
Nice.
yeah, so 3 of them are interacting with us. But
Cool,
let me see. Tommy says we're not going to get content meant for us until the next season of Mando. I disagree. I think that this content is made for a certain sect of us. Those of us who like the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't like it. Remember, but the point is, I think it's getting to the point where, number one, 8 episodes is a bit much, but I get it. 1 per. They shouldn't be very long, though.
Right.
Okay. But it's like
if they're longer than the actual episodes.
From us in this world, or me personally, doing this whole thing, and as much as I did before, I don't do as much now, right? But a lot of research, a lot going into it, a lot of posting and stuff, and a lot of arguing I did going through a lot of sites.
Yeah.
I've seen so much and argued so much about behind the scenes crap that now at this point I'm like, I really don't want to see it. I just don't want. My magic is starting to go, and that's what I'm saying. I'm having I have to sit down and watch the movie by myself sometimes just to be like, okay, good. I feel good now, right?
Is it fatigue?
Not on the on the fandom. I'm tired.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that's a good point, because I actually saw Daisy Ridley was like, I don't know if you guys seen it, that she had done an interview or something saying like she didn't know where the love went, like how come it was so toxic and everything. And then I saw a meme post, and it was one guy tackling another guy, like going after somebody, and it says one Star Wars fan meets another Star Wars fan. And that is so true in print. It's so true on messaging. Like if you find someone else's message, for example, if I put something on Facebook, and as a Star Wars fan, and you guys didn't know it was me, you would probably immediately would be like, who the hell is this guy? First off, like, that's our MO. That's a Star Wars fan MO, to be like, he doesn't know more than I do, or
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Really toxic at first, and then kind of like, wait a second, take a step back. We're in this together. Because I do remember going to one of the celebrations, and they had this little booth, and you walk in there and you say, tell your Star Wars story, and everybody was coming out in tears, right? Everybody had these moments in life, and that was back in 2010. And between then and now, it's like someone tells their Star Wars story, and then we immediately go like, F you in your Star Wars story. This is like, I mean, that's like a go-to reaction, and I think it had to have started with the Last Jedi. It had to have started with that split in the fandom and everything. And like people are forgetting, like what Daisy Ridley was saying, like, where's the love of this genre? That this is supposed to be like this awesome genre. Star Wars has got this amazing world, amazing characters, and at one time amazing fan base. And now it gets to you a little bit. And I think I understand where you're coming from, Chris, a little bit, where it's like, I don't, like, you start to see these things like people love in Clone Wars, and you're like, yeah, I love it too, but you know what? You're not understanding. You're not getting what this last season should be. We have 4 episodes left on the Clone Wars, and we've been following it. It's a good segue into the Clone Wars, in fact. But we've been following it, and that first arc, to me, I thought it was going to mean something, and I still don't understand what the Bad Batch, other than just a cool 4-part story. I don't understand why the heck was that even in the whole thing? First off.
Well, I kind of got the point about having to bring why the droids and the separatists were winning at that point, and they had to turn it around. I kind of get all that, right?
Okay.
I'm okay with that, but that could have been in like 2 episodes, right? Oh, there's 5. Let's save them. Let's go. 2 or 3. You could have cut that down by at least 1 episode. It wasn't that, and again, if it was in the middle of a 20 episode season or 22 episode season,
You'd still complain about it.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be your filler arc, and I'd move on, right? I think the problem. I'll get to that in a minute. Actually, shoot. And then the second arc, I had to sit there and try to, and I call it binge 4 episodes, right? I never did it in one sitting. I tried about 18 times. I sat there and I get through an episode, and I'm like, I'm not going to do another one.
The
right
Ahsoka arc, like starting from her that.
Yeah, I'm going to go get a drink, poop, whatever. Anything but watch this next episode. And then eventually I get the last 2 in a row, and it's okay. It's not a horrible arc, right? It's annoying because of, again, I know the behind the scenes on the changing of characters and why they do it. That's annoying at this point. Okay, so that take that away, and I'm okay. I didn't like the characters, how they were with each other, and I did the Fast and the Forcious crap, right? I didn't dig all that. But I did understand some of it, and I did like the Pike piece, and I did like the Crimson Dawn pieces and all this stuff. It's just they could have done that one in 2 episodes or 1.
Yeah.
If you went, the whole point was to get her to the Mandalorians. There are way different ways to do that.
100% agree. The whole point was for her to get into the Mandalorians, and that interaction with Darth Maul going into Crimson Dawn. That was the setup, and it took 4. It really took 4, like 3 and 3/4 episodes to get into that last 5 minutes of like, oh, here's what it is. On one hand, I understand the need to see what Ahsoka's been up to, what she was doing, but there wasn't really a lot of struggle with her. I didn't feel either in that 4 parts. Like, she missed the Jedi. She recalled some of the teachings. She didn't really kind of go off on her own. She stayed in Coruscant. First off, like, if you're gonna leave, don't just leave and sit behind their back door and be like, leave Coruscant, leave and do something completely on your, really take the Jedi teachings and walk away from it and have that struggle of coming back to it, or even the teachings have to be a struggle with it.
Which she does in the Ahsoka book, right? She does it there.
Sorry. Yeah, it's like she just left the Jedi Temple and just went to the corner liquor store.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's been hanging out there for a few months, and it's real quick. She's already recalling the teachings of the Jedi and what a Jedi stands for. She even had that, what a Jedi stands for, and it's still like, I get that that's part of her.
I mean, I'll be honest. I was frustrated with this story because Ahsoka, especially after refreshing Ahsoka's story with, when she left the Jedi Temple and seeing how they did her wrong, I'm thinking, okay, I want to see what happened after this. And the way this new story went, I was like, I felt like I got robbed. Like it should have been a better story instead of her chilling with these two girls. You know,
I still like it better than like a bunch of the quote unquote filler episodes that we got in the regular series. It's still, I don't get it. It doesn't bother me at all. I've actually enjoyed every episode. I think there was one episode where I felt like by the end of it, what was the point of that? And I think it was one of the more action-packed episodes where they escape and they just end up back in jail again.
7.
Yeah.
You start in jail, you end in jail. What was the point of episode 7?
There was no point in that other than to give you the Mando moment. And
the 4 seconds at the end.
Exactly.
Which they redid in episode 8. They redid it twice.
They did.
So
there was no need to have that episode at all. But that being said, I still enjoy it more than say the 7-episode arc of the frog guy and the robot heads and that nonsense. I still
I like
or the Jar Jar and Mace
or Jar Jar and Mace.
That's it.
Now you're just being obstinate because that's a great arc.
Sure.
Like I said, I get all the points that you guys are making. This is the question I'm gonna throw out to you guys, right? So we got 4 episodes left, and I think this is gonna go hand in hand exactly what Chris was talking about earlier. The dangers of doing a show, a Star Wars show, and digging into all these back things and reading into things. It's quoted as saying, and the writer who's doing the last 4 said it was the best writing a Clone Wars episode ever. And that is again.
Oh, don't hype it like that!
Right.
Don't hype it like that.
And like I said, and my statement is that's a very dangerous statement to make in a Star Wars movie because we went through that with The Last Jedi. We went through that with Solo, Rogue, all these things, right? And now I see that again, and I go, I get that you're proud of the work, and we're yet to see like some big epic battle and all that stuff that's going to take place. And I have confidence, like with Scott, that it's going to be pretty cool, and you'll look at this season as something like, that was cool, but did we really need it? I mean, we could have just left off what we had and just line talked it up on what went down. But that statement of best ever, best this, whatever, this is where the toxicity comes from.
Yeah.
Because
it is.
That's where people will throw that in our faces that like it because we like Star Wars, but we don't love everything that gets, it's put out on it. We just put it in its place, so.
Right. Which we'll do after this. It's just like I do with Resistance, right? Yeah. I just put it in its place. But, I mean, it's not that I hate it, again. And it's much better when you do try to binge it or at least watch it all in one day. It is better that way. Yeah. Going week by week with a slow burn like it's been on this is tough. Well, and that's not getting my attention. That's why I compared it to Resistance last time when we spoke. I don't remember if it was a show or just when we chatted. Mm-hmm. But I compare it to Resistance in that it was annoying that I had to wait a week to get nowhere and another week to get nowhere. If I was binging it and I watched all 8 of those episodes, I'd be perfectly happy. I'd be like, oh, cool, and it ended me at that point with her going off with the Mandalorians. Yeah. Now, actually,
one of the Mandalorians being Sabine's mother.
Right.
Which is really freaking cool.
So you got and go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna go ahead. Finish your thought, and I got a question.
I lost it. It's cool. Oh no.
Sorry, man.
The point was, do you think there's going to be a pretty big time jump here? It can't be massive, right? Does Ahsoka in the preview for this new episode not look a bit older?
Yes.
Yeah. She does look older.
The art style has changed, though, just
From
slightly.
One episode to the other?
I honestly did not look at the preview for it yet. So.
Oh, yeah. She looked, it might be the angle, but Joe, you saw it too, right? Where she looks
more like Ahsoka in Rebels now.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird adult Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we know it's about a 16-year difference, right? From there to there, for Rebels, 17 years before they see her.
Yeah.
So, but it's she seems older. She seems like a year older, at least.
We're getting the Siege of Mandalore coming up, and a bunch of Mandalorians. We're getting the Mandalorian docuseries. We got Mandalorian season 2. Is Disney really swinging the pendulum to the fandom of the Mandalorians? Are we going to get kind of like saturated with it? Is it too much, too fast in one year? Ernie, I'll say this to Ernie first. Is it too much Mando in 1 year?
No. We have only 4 episodes, and the way that they've been going, it's going to be a slow story. And I do agree, it does almost look like a older Ahsoka. So I think it's going to get into a lot of Darth Maul actually, and
so.
what went on with the factions, and maybe a little solo tie-in. But at the same time, I think it may be a quick wrap up, and that actually we're going to be saying again, Chris, maybe of that was it. That's all we got.
Right.
God, I hope not. Not in this one. I hope not, man.
I know, but I'm saying I get, because I think playing the Mandos in those last 4 scenes was to that hype. But I think this is already a story that's been there and gone. Could we see a cartoon drawn Mando? Maybe, like during this.
Oh yeah, that's what I was hoping too. Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot, but I don't think they're gonna be saturated with it. I don't think they have enough. I think the whole thing about Mando being popular, don't get me wrong, is Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
I mean, we do love Mandos and how much there are and everything.
That made
but
it. Absolutely.
I would think a big eye roll, or what do they say, jumping the shark, would be if we saw a Baby Yoda pop up at the end or something.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mandos are well established in Clone Wars already. Well established.
Yeah,
it's a lot of the last couple seasons.
That's
Do you
what
guys think 4 episodes is enough to tell the rest of the story?
Yeah, if they do it
think so.
right. If they do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't, drag their feet on some of the other things. Again, I think there might be some misconception of what we were expecting, the way we were left off with Ahsoka, and then the way that she was brought back in Rebels. And this is like the little filler in between, so they can't go too far into, or too stray away too much of how her attitude is in Rebels, right? So I think maybe we're looking a little too much in Ahsoka rather than the overall story. Like I said, the Mandalore and Darth Maul and Crimson Dawn, which I like the more tie into Crimson Dawn and what Maul's up to more than I am Ahsoka and Mandalore, because we already know the outcome of all that stuff. So
okay, do you think the last 5 minutes of the last episode is going to be Order 66?
I hope
that would be amazing.
Yes, man. That sends goosebumps. That would be awesome.
Well, you know what the problem is? If it doesn't happen, I think everybody's expecting it, and we've set ourselves up again, right? Us, the internet, it's all over the place. That we're going to tie into the back end of Order 66 here. We're going to see different points of view on some of these deaths, and I really, if it doesn't happen, it's going to be a mess. I'm going to stay off the internet because I don't know which side. I'll be on the troll side again.
Well, prepare yourself. If you prepare yourself that it's not going to happen, and if it happens, cool, right?
Exactly.
All right. And
what's the old saying? Expect the worst, or prepare for the worst, but expect the best.
Something like that.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. Fanboy Mike, are you caught up on the Clone Wars?
Okay.
No,
Mike.
Here.
Mike?
I think
He said no.
Mike, this is
Mike.
audio.
Mike, are you caught up or no?
No.
Have you seen a couple of them though?
No.
Well, no, because I was just
troll. I can kick him out.
I was just gonna say, because maybe we are going a little bit too critical at this time.
Yes.
And like if Mike's enjoying them, because then I was gonna get into, I saw, Chris, that you had a conversation with Adam and Jaime.
Yep.
And how they loved it, and you're like, why?
Yeah,
and then they called me crying.
It wasn't a mean why.
They told on you.
They called me crying.
I believe the phrase was, "Oh, Adam, I used to share your youthful, jubilant view on this crowd."
But I'm just
that
saying,
was verbatim.
it's like
He shit on his parade.
he did. They're like, Ernie, am I supposed to hate these? No, I'm just kidding. But that's what I'm saying is there's Chris and Jaime who, as children, grew up with the Clone Wars and absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And I think we may be expecting too much. We may be pushing too hard and wondering instead of just watching it.
Yeah, what Adam said was, you know what? I don't expect everything to fall into a bigger story.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, and I get that, but I don't want 4 episodes that don't.
Well,
that's okay. This time I think we got 3. The 4th one was pretty darn good.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really good.
It's better, again, watched all in a row.
I think.
All right.
So
yeah, go ahead.
That's why I was gonna ask Mike and see how he felt or anything like that, because
he's the closest thing to a child we have.
No. Just as far as I'm sure Mike would watch it just to watch it and enjoy it instead of critical of us. Like,
yeah.
Why did we have this? what is going on here? We didn't need to see this. We didn't need to see that.
Right.
And then, instead of like, that was just my best judgment. Cause I'm not saying that opposite. I was too with some of them. I even got bored at times, and it sucks to say that, but it is just a show. And as I read Adam and Jaime's comments, I was like, oh, okay, well, they're enjoying it. So maybe it's like us, how we didn't find Resistance that great, but then truly people did.
Right.
So,
Ooh. I'll get
I
him.
still don't.
There's
Yeah,
one
I
guy.
still don't know, but yeah. So that's
Well, like
all.
Let me speak for myself. Let me speak for myself real quick.
I haven't watched any,
not
but
that I won't. Not that I won't. I will. I want to binge them. I'll binge them all. I don't want to have to sit there and wait for the next. And I'm not calling it a cartoon.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me now?
You're glitching hard.
Yeah,
Chief.
you're
All right.
breaking up, but yeah.
I'm not saying that I won't. I'll binge them all. I just don't have. I don't have the patience to wait for the next one.
We got to
Yeah.
fix something here, man. I can barely hear you.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of personal. I don't have a lot of personal investments in it. I want the story. I want it to tell a good story. And yeah, there are some things that I wish were could be brought up. Huh?
Yeah.
Joe, I'm laughing at Joey. I'm just sitting here looking at Joey laughing.
Because no, here's what I don't understand. I mean, and it's not. I'm not knocking you at all, dude. I'm not knocking you at all. You're talking about, for the love of good storytelling, good stories. I'll be honest. I haven't really watched Clone Wars from start to finish, and I would always just like watch random episodes. But for the first time last week, I watched starting from when the Jedi Temple got blown up all the way to the last episode. And dude, that was the best stuff I've watched in a long, long time. And
It's a hell of a ride.
And I've never really seen, I'll even go as far as saying that the storytelling was better than Rebels, to me, in my honest opinion.
At points, yeah, absolutely.
At points, yeah. But especially with the Ahsoka story, that story, I was literally emotionally attached to that story, because I was like, damn, they did this girl dirty.
Yeah.
And knowing how much I liked it, there's no way I could see you not being invested in it. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's color
I
magic.
just know. Let me just. I haven't had a chance to get to it. That's all. That's
cool.
what it comes down to.
That's fine. It took me a while. I started watching Clone Wars at the beginning, and then I skipped a little bit, and I got back into it probably around season 3 or 4. Really, I did not do it live. I didn't do it live because there was points of it where I just couldn't. But
I did every episode live.
Yeah.
And I can say honestly, I still haven't even finished Resistance.
Oh, Resistance! I did. No way. I
haven't touched Resistance.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only person here who fell on that sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, I skipped the middle 14 episodes.
Yeah.
I caught the end though. The end was decent.
I totally get it. I was just asking as the question as if he's checked it out yet, and I get exactly what Mike's saying. So exactly like I haven't even finished Resistance. Mike's gonna wait until they all come out, they're done, and then watch them like that. Yeah. And what Joey's saying is then go back to the beginning, because there was a lot of great storytelling, and I think that's also what is hindering this season 7 is we're waiting for that great storytelling in our very last season.
You got to know what it is first off going into it, but
so I didn't even catch up. So Mike, you're not caught up on the Clone Wars in general.
No, just this one. Just the start of this season.
Okay, gotcha.
Going backwards, I've watched all of those, but not this the new season.
Gotcha.
Scott, was there things from the chat that you wanted to add?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's jump in here real quick. They were commenting on whether or not Ahsoka looked older in the new trailer. Let's see. Michael Horling said she just had bigger eyes. Sure, Mike was staring at her eyes. I'm sure of it.
That's a matter of age.
I know, Mike. Let's see. Gordon pointed out something, which is she's wearing a different uniform, and it does look like a streamlined suit instead of a jumpsuit like what she was wearing. So that could make her
different headgear.
physically look older. Different headgear. Yeah, she was different headgear. Let me see. And Tommy said that he usually reserves judgment, and I'd like to make a point of this.
Yeah.
He reserves judgment on the season until after it's over.
Yes.
And I agree with that because
Yeah, me too.
we don't know if the Bad Batch, maybe the Bad Batch are going to make an appearance in this, so it would make sense to be introduced to them in a previous episode. Maybe the Bad Batch are going to come back in whatever new animated series is coming out.
That's possible too.
We don't know what the overall reason was for them taking these particular stories and animating them. I mean, maybe they mean nothing, like the little droid with a little guy inside there. I'm going to go back to that series over and over again because I hated that series. But it is possible that that this means something, that these will end up meaning something in the long run.
Sure.
No,
And
I think it will. Especially Siege of
Irvine
Mandalore.
in the house.
Can I share a quick theory real quick that I heard from this guy at work? And when I heard it, I was like, damn, that shit would be bad if that happens. He was saying, since the Bad Batch, since they were pretty much like, a bad batch, they were pretty much throwaways.
Yeah.
He was saying, what if they didn't have the chip put inside of them to activate Order 66?
Right.
Yes.
And he says, when Order 66 gets activated, the Bad Batch starts helping the Jedi and starts protecting them and starts fighting the ones that did get activated.
Makes
No,
sense.
there's a point where Rex said in Rebels where we took our chips out. That they've taken them out. Rex took his out. Wolf took his out. Gregor took his out. See, there's a lot of time that's going to pass here. There is time because they haven't even hooked back up with Gregor, right? The next time we saw Gregor from the arc you hate, right, from the general, from the droid, the Void.
Yep.
Right.
I'm looking at Scott like I'm looking at Scott, right?
Okay.
I'm looking right at somebody.
We didn't see Gregor again until he was old in Rebels.
Right.
So he might connect in here too with taking the chip out and Wolf and that. There's going to be a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff that can be talked about if it ends in Order 66. This stuff has to happen. It has to. Or we're going to get hosed up and be like, the 501st. What? Why aren't they? See, they said they didn't turn on their Jedi, right? But Rex,
their Jedi was Anakin.
Right, exactly. So Anakin took off and he had a legion with him.
But in this new series, Ahsoka has a lot of the 500.
She has the 501st. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
And
They're
episode 3
that's
is
a paint
red.
too.
He might have.
They're all paint. They all have her face paint.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that aren't going to turn. So
That's the reason why they're not. That's why we don't see. That's why we don't see Rex in episode 3. There we go. Okay, cool.
there you go. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bravo.
I just hate the fact that we never got the Cad Bane Boba episode.
I know.
Like we totally skipped that. That sucks.
Yeah. It could have just been one episode. That's all it would have taken. It wouldn't have to be an arc. It could have been an episode.
Right.
A side mission thing. Yeah. They should finish those concepts. Even like the Revan one and.
Okay, and you know what? Too, I'm thinking about it and how they could have tied it in.
I'm going to
and
perform it right here.
how one episode could have done it, just like you're saying, is that could have happened, and Cad Bane could have went back to the Mandalorians and said, "Okay, I took care of it.
Yeah.
I took him out for being a fake Mandalorian."
Right.
You know what I mean? And then that would have like covered a whole arc right there.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff could have. It could have. I mean, we do that with the movies too, and I say, well, we got what we got. But in this case, it's a little different because it's animation. I mean, they could have done so much more. Yeah. I get the limits of a live action and things they can't do and stuff. But this is the series has been to Mortis. Rebels has been to the World Between Worlds. I mean, they could do a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Story wise, force wise, lots of stuff, and we're not getting.
I think if the series
I think it will
came back though, like came back. You know what I mean? Like this is season 7. And there was no final episodes. I think if we were going off and just continuing more things, I think then they could get crazier. But there's some reason that they sat in a room and said, "Look, we're just gonna do a final season 7 Clone Wars," even though it's massively popular and everybody cheered when they announced it to come back. I didn't think it was just gonna be one season. I thought it was like, oh, it's coming back. If it was coming back, then I could see them getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. Would you take it as a tease of Order 66 because of the way in the last season before this, the way they teased about Order 66 happening with those couple, remember where the chips were
missions?
malfunctioning?
Yeah.
With
Where the
fives?
chips started malfunctioning and it was already starting
Yeah.
on accident. So
right.
like that right there, I took as, oh man, they're probably gonna show it because the way they kind of hinted at it with the way the chips were malfunctioning already.
Yeah,
So,
I think they're going to do it. And I think the reason they're going to do it too is we stop asking for more. Because if you go into Order 66, it's over. Yep. Right? Clone Wars is done.
Yep.
So I think that's the reason they'll do it.
If they finish on that note, yeah.
Right. Kind of like I thought how Rebels would end it at Rogue One. Right. I thought that it would go into there because then there's no playing around with it. You're done. Mm-hmm. So I think they're probably going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if they don't, they'll allude to it, and maybe we won't see it on screen. But they have to end with something like that. Because we got to have that tie-in.
They don't have to end it anyway.
No,
they can end it any way they want. But exactly. I agree with you that's how it should end. I think it should.
Oh man, do you think we're going to see the Obi-Wan Anakin goodbye again? Like they'll just do that and they'll go off with their clones, right?
Yeah, like
Anakin has no
final goodbye.
Yeah. I think we're going to see Anakin and Obi-Wan take off in the first episode to Coruscant, and then we won't see them again for the rest of the series.
Right.
I think we're going to follow Ahsoka throughout the whole thing, the Siege of Mandalore, and at the end of the Siege of Mandalore, enough time would have happened to where Anakin would have betrayed the Jedi Order. Order 66 would have happened. I think it's going to speculation. I think it's going to end with Order 66 happening.
Just in the midst of it, it ends.
Just real quick, talking about Anakin and in the episodes, that one where he felt Ahsoka, that was awesome.
Oh yeah,
that was really cool.
The way it lined up, oh my god!
The way it lined up with Return of the Jedi when he says Luke. So how cool is that, right? This one he lets go because he loves this one, right? And he feels for her, let her go, let her hide. This one he lets him go because it's his son. He's going to go get him.
Right.
He's like, you guys aren't taking him. I'm going to get him. So how funny how Anakin and Vader had those two different, exact same but different moments. It was freaking rad.
I loved it.
Oh, just like the Kessel. Okay, that was the cool part in the
very cool
in the Toretto sisters arc. It was when they showed up to Kessel and it was the same view as Solo coming in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know,
very cool.
I thought it was a great nod to Solo, and like I said, I need more of that kind of those little Easter eggs, you know, because it ties in the cartoons and the live action a lot more.
I loved seeing a different side of Kessel too. You're on a completely different side of the world. I'm like, oh wow, that looks different. But then they go to the screwed up side, and that was awesome.
Yep.
Right.
A planet that has more than one ecosystem.
What?
Go figure.
No.
I know.
Oh, you can't have
not in Star Wars.
No.
That's silly.
So, yeah, I thought that was cool. Somebody had brought up in one of the Facebook groups, the Galaxy's Edge Facebook group, what if they change, slight deviation here, if they were to change the Millennium Falcon ride, what would you like to see?
Yeah.
And the first thing that popped into my head was I would like to do the Kessel Run. In less than 12 parsecs.
I mean,
you got to
how
get
exciting
through it.
Could that be, especially with like fighting the monster and escaping it and almost getting sucked in? That right there is like you just take that excerpt from Solo and just put that in the ride and just sync up the animatronics, dude. That would be awesome. I agreed with you on that. Like I was looking, I'm like, what other mission could we do? Him maybe. Oh no. Well, we've already. Maybe dropping the spice and getting contracted by the Hutts to come after us at the end. I don't know. So, but the Kessel Run would be amazing.
Yeah. Or just fly through the asteroid belt.
Yeah, you had to bring up Galaxy's Edge, didn't you?
Sorry, man. Sorry, Mike. Go for it.
Oh, Mike froze.
No, I was going to say so.
That's okay.
So the scene is that Jabba's in there and he's actually given us a mission. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Like do like the
Marco.
like your the mission would be like you have to transport spice and then you have to dump it because you're getting boarded by Imperial or whatever they're gonna do, and then it doesn't have to be Jabba. It could be like a Hutt is contracted for your life at the end of the mission.
I better be
Jabba.
Like, fan theoring of what the Millennium Falcon run could be. Different.
That would be rad.
Ones, That'd be awesome.
No, as long as it's not what's his name with that stupid voice.
Oh, Zero.
Oh, it's not Zero. No.
Zero.
No, it cannot
Zero.
Oh my God! What you got? It sounds like freaking Cartman doing a Hutt. It's just awful.
Hey, you guys, you want to do some spice?
now that would Now that was a cool part in that arc too. They had some cool things, right? The mention of Zero and that mission when that piece when Zero escaped and they went down to bring that back from a previous season. That was cool too. They did some cool stuff in this whole thing, but it was just too long. That was that point.
The one thing I do appreciate about Clone Wars, even Resistance, and all the cartoon is those Easter egg mentions that if you don't really pay attention, it goes right over your head until like you view it again or someone brings it up. Yeah, because like Kessel, Zero, there's all kinds of these mentions, and if you don't pay attention, you'll miss it.
Yeah, and all the Crimson Dawn talk at the end here, and how he wasn't leading Crimson Dawn. It didn't sound like, right? He said, "I'm going to send Crimson Dawn over to this job."
It sounded to me like he was the leader.
It sounded to me like he's still leading the Mandalorians, and he's manipulating all of the gangsters.
The underworld, the crime scene.
The underworld, yeah.
Underworld.
I'm going to send Crimson Dawn after you.
Did Darth Maul have the medallion on?
I didn't notice it.
I didn't see it.
But the thing with when the Pike said, he's all, oh, that's not right. He's all, you don't play other factions against each other.
Right.
And the other guy's all, well, it's a very efficient way to deal with us.
That's a very interesting point. You're right. Like now the question is, you probably wasn't the leader of the Crimson Dawn just yet. Because again, I was looking for the medallion, around his neck, because that's a dead giveaway. And man, see,
I think he's going to end up leading whichever one survives and
the
takes
more
over.
you talk about it, the more I like it. I like this arc. Even the slow burn to it. I'm there with Scott with the slow burn, but I'm also there with the thing like it could have been done in 2 episodes or 1 episode versus 4. I'm there also. Like I'm torn.
Yeah, and I guess the other part too. Are we just waiting? Am I just waiting for Siege of Mandalore?
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Because I'm excited to see how that links to the Mandalorian.
Sure.
Right? Because it's going to at some point, like Ernie had mentioned, either we see Din Djarin as a kid or something.
Moff Gideon.
Or we see Moff Gideon. Right? Because he was on Mandalore.
Yeah.
He's on Mandalore at the time.
Well,
dude has the Darksaber.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Who do you think has it? Who has
I think they'll fight at the Siege of Mandalore. I think it's going to fall on the ground. And he's going to pick it up and take it. Period.
Who's that?
That's it. Gideon.
No, because Maul has to have it because Maul has it in Rebels.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm saying. You got to, yeah. Just thinking about Rebels here.
See, how's Gideon get it then?
It had to happen after. I don't know. Was there a second Siege of Mandalore?
What's our timeline?
Rebels is next. 16 years difference, and then 16 plus a 7.
See, Chris, you got to do a hot topic with a whiteboard behind you.
Okay, so
right,
we're gonna track the Darksaber.
Why haven't I done that?
Yeah, we have to track the Darksaber. It was in this.
That'd be cool. Track the Darksaber.
We know where it's at Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
But there was multiple Darksabers, right? It doesn't have to be.
No, there was one.
Just one.
There was one.
No, there was only one made by the Mandalorian.
Okay.
Yeah, Mandalorian
Jedi, right?
It was forged in the fires of Mount Doom.
Yeah.
And it's precious.
I'm there. Can only be destroyed.
No, you had to slay a mythosaur in order to.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
But yeah,
one saber to rule them all.
Exactly.
Well, see, that was Anakin. Well, never mind. But yeah, a trail of where the Darksaber came from and where it ended up being would be awesome little timeline, like you used to do with the books. And
that'd
the
be cool.
Yeah, we'll need the. I mean, the series after the series is done or before.
Yeah, well, after this series is done, and we could track it to where, like, how we ended up. Now we know Moff Gideon has it, and this is like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. That's where we left off at. That's
I'll do it as soon as
our current knowledge of it is Moff.
Hey, you can almost do it like Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah.
Wow, it's nice you brought up Lord of the Rings. That was clever. Were you like? Did you have a delay?
No, what I'm saying is you can tell the story that way.
Like what?
Unless you guys already talked that to tell it that way, to tell the tale of the Darksaber.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, Chris, do like a hot topic kind of history.
Where it's going in passing.
Yeah.
I'll get into Mount Doom though.
Yeah. We got to get to the hobbits first, and then,
Yeah, but you gotta dress up like Gandalf the Grey, dude.
Easy
to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Done.
Absolutely.
Done, right, Chris? Right?
I can't. I can't carry the Darksaber for you, but I can carry you.
Never wield it.
Just a regular robe.
Keep it tucked under my shirt.
It's just banging on your chest all
Chris's
day.
robe is just a 5X t-shirt. You just put a t-shirt on. This is my robe.
Oh God.
You know what? I'm going to switch gears here because this is something that's been bugging me, and I kind of wanted to bring it up since we are doing Star Wars talk anyway. Let's go back to the sequel trilogy. And I've texted Chris on the side note about Snoke before this. And after reading the novel, after doing all this stuff, and the revelation of the only thing we got in Rise of Skywalker was the Emperor says I was to Kylo was he was in his ear, his head the whole time, and he used Snoke's voice. So my question is, and again, this could be just a black and white question, a real simple answer, or maybe I'm just not understanding Snoke's character. But after the novel and everything, I kind of got the sense that Snoke wasn't a clone of the Emperor. He wasn't the Emperor at all. He was a separate being that the Emperor was puppeteering.
A puppet.
Yeah, but he wasn't the Emperor. Like, he wasn't a clone of the Emperor because we saw other Snoke clones, and according to the book, the Emperor had other bodies that failed, that were too powerful and fallen apart, and his own son was a clone of his. And where does Snoke come in all this? It's just a little confusing because with Kylo's comic book, right, the Dark Knights of Ren had Snoke talking to him the whole time and everything as a separate entity. I'm kind of like, maybe on the fence of he's a separate guy, but he was influenced by the Emperor, but he wasn't the Emperor.
I think, check this out.
That was my feeling.
So the Emperor is having trouble cloning himself,
Correct.
obviously,
Yeah.
right? So he finds another Force sensitive in the dark side, right? Not as strong as him, obviously. We're pretty strong.
Yeah.
Okay, did I offend Scott?
Yeah, you did. He just got up and
He's like,
yeah. Oh, there goes Chris. No.
wait, I'm gonna wait for him to come back.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit here in radio silence. He's here.
He has no clue. Did we offend
Okay,
you, Scott?
now that Scott's back, we'll continue.
I got it.
Right.
Sorry, I needed water.
No
What was he talking about? I forgot. It was a
Snoke.
good point, I'm sure. So, all right. So the Emperor's looking for that, and he can't keep cloning himself, and he's having a problem. So he's going to keep testing on somebody else at this point. He can't show himself because it's not working. So he's going to use somebody else as a puppet.
Right.
So he finds this guy. And he keeps testing on him to clone him. Is how I see it now, right? But the original maybe is the one we see.
You think
In the dark.
Snoke
where,
was
though?
a failed clone of his son?
No, I think Snoke is a complete different species,
Complete
entity, just an actual person, like actual Snoke. But what we saw was, like what Chris was saying, the Emperor probably tried to take over that character of Snoke, and it destroyed its body. So he made clones of it because it was powerful enough to sustain for a little while. You know what I mean? Like maybe
I don't think he ever tried to take him over. I think he always had a plan of taking himself over.
Yeah.
But what happened was, while he couldn't clone himself, he was trying to let somebody else be a puppet for
Yeah,
him.
because
So I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it was alluded to that the Emperor was Snoke the whole time, right? That was what we were meant to believe when the revelation came. But I'm thinking
I took it that he was the puppet.
In a simplified way, I think that's what they were trying to push off.
not
that,
literally the Emperor.
not literally, but yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
I was in control of Snoke. I put the Vader stuff in your head.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
That
some of
makes it even
what they
better.
did.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, some of what they did with that cloning, though, and you had all the deformed clones of Snoke in the tube,
Yeah.
goes completely against what they did in the first episode of that Kylo Ren comic, too. So they still have continuity flubs. When Ben first comes in contact with Snoke in the first issue, Ben looks at his face, at Snoke's face, and he says, "What did Master Skywalker do to you?"
Oh yeah.
Alluding to them having some kind of battle that deformed Snoke.
Oh no! Wait. Episode three with the Emperor. Same thing. We've talked about that. When you have to pull that dark energy out, or exert so much, or have to fight a lot, it deforms you.
Yeah.
Maybe like that.
Right, but at the same time, then why are we seeing the clones of Snoke in the tube still looking like Snoke?
Right.
Should have looked like unformed. That's what I was getting.
See, I guess,
There you
yeah,
go.
there's something to be had there. Like I'm waiting for. Again, there is a rumor of the JJ cut did come surface this week too, also. But maybe we'll wait for that to happen. But there's something to it. I don't think it's as simple as I'll just put what's in my head. What was in my head prior to Rise of Skywalker and after that was like Snoke revealed himself. He got killed in the Last Jedi, and then it turns out that was the Emperor the whole time. It's not that simple. I think it was a lot more complicated, but we haven't gotten the whole picture of it. I think there's a lot more to it. Which is great, and I absolutely love the fact that there's a lot more to it. And it's not that simple. And
do we want answers this time, or should we just headcanon it and just hope be happy with that?
I think with
Headcanon.
Snoke, though, no, I kind of disagree a little bit with Snoke. Snoke, we're gonna need a little bit more answers because there's too many speculations on. There's too many directions that can go. You know what I mean? I think we're gonna have to have some sort of definitive answer who he was and how he was being manipulated by the Emperor, because the Emperor's been absent the whole time, and you can't just have like, hey guys, I'm back and I was resting over here, but I was I really back because I was with Snoke the whole time? It's weird.
So what then? So the question is when was he really Snoke before he? So when was he really Snoke in what we have so far, and then when was he cloned?
I'm thinking he was
like where.
I'm thinking he was Snoke the whole time, but a clone of himself because the original Snoke died a long time ago, so the Emperor had to keep that facade up. I don't know. That's the whole thing.
So do you think Snoke at some point in time was maybe starting to be Palpatine's apprentice?
Yeah, like something where
like he was actually like what you guys are saying. He was actually a real person, not even clone, just a real person,
and died a long time ago.
Seduced. Yeah, that got seduced by Palpatine in some sort of way.
Maybe at first, maybe that's the first thing that happened when he whatever, and then he was taste because he always knew Vader was gonna.
Because he was rich, right? This is in the story that he was rich.
Well,
yeah,
and he used the Emperor could have used Snoke and his influences to build up the First Order to the point where what we saw. And that is the facade of what Snoke was. He was actually the real supreme leader. Wasn't the Emperor, but because of the death, I think it just was like the Emperor's like, okay, I'm strong enough now to reveal my plan to the world. I don't need Snoke anymore. I'm not going to reclone him again. I'm not going to put up this facade.
Well, I think those clones in there weren't new clones. I think those were discarded clones he had been testing on.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
They had done so much force energy or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And
the only person that would have known that would have been Snoke's mom. She would have invited Snoke over for dinner, and he would have served him his favorite.
Snoke.
She would have served him his favorite food. And he's all, I don't eat this. Snoke, you eat this all the time.
Yeah, again, there's a lot more mystery involved now that I've read the novel or listened to the novel now at this point, and studying it more, and then even with the visual encyclopedia, and I think there's a lot more to it that JJ put into that character, because I still go back to the original Andy Serkis interview saying he's 100% original character. We've never heard or seen of this guy before, and that goes out the window if he was the Emperor, because
technically he wasn't.
Yeah, but ask anybody out there, even in chat. I'll ask chat. Did you guys think Snoke was the Emperor after watching Rise of Skywalker? Because that was my initial thought, right? After watching the movie, we came out and I'm like, oh, he was the Emperor the whole time because of that line.
But not in that literal. Again, like Scott, it wasn't the literal sense. I didn't take it literal. I took it as figurative.
I guess it took me some time to really think about it, to separate that literal meaning versus what it actually was.
Yeah.
I remember after Force Awakens hearing theories that it was Darth Plagueis.
Yeah,
that he was actually Darth Plagueis, but basically taking another form in someone else's body, but it was really Darth Plagueis.
Here's that fan theory of what we had what I had in my head was, if that was Plagueis and being alive suppressed the Emperor coming back, but because of his death in The Last Jedi made way for the Emperor to come back, that makes it for that that open door for him to come into Rise of Skywalker and start taking over, because the path was open now. That makes more sense.
Yeah, well, I thought at one point we also talked about that it was he was the entity of the dark side, basically. So everything that had taken place, I mean, he was in fact the dark side, and
that's the case. In Rise of Skywalker, in the dialogue, he is all the Sith and Rey was all the Jedi. It came to a head, So in a sense, that is true. The Emperor was all the Path Sith, and that all the dark side energy was, combined into one.
And again, we got that theory right from the get.
We absolutely did. I just wanted to bring that up because I had like a epiphany and revelation, as we do when we go through these things, right? Just kind of like, what if, or did I not get this right? Or maybe I just didn't get it right out the gate. You guys might have. And I was just like freaking out about it. And you're like, yeah, dude, chill out. which does happen.
No,
You know?
I just accepted the fact that Snoke was a puppet, and to actually dive into it a little bit more and actually think about it some more. It's like, well, he was the supreme leader basically at the time when he was in control of things, and so to have
he's frozen, but your eyes are all like rolled.
Oh,
Scott.
but to have
sorry about that. Like,
but to have
ahead.
it all revealed, but to have it all revealed in Frost, it was like it was an eye opener. But then I was able to just kind of speed bump over it and go, okay, well, I can move on with that. It's like, well, okay, we know that Snoke was just it's
That's what we do.
number one in right.
That's what
To
we
have
do.
the number one baddie in the Force Awakens and the Rise of Skywalker, or the Last Jedi, to have that super baddie and then him getting killed, and you're, oh well, it was just he was the Emperor the whole time.
Basically, I'm still trying. Okay, I'll speak for me. That's why I keep going back to me. I'm still trying to make sense of why we needed 7, 8, and 9. You know what I mean? And not that I don't want it, not that I don't love what we got or whatever. I'm still kind of being like putting these things together as the importance of 7, 8, and 9 to finish the actual story that was, quote unquote, finished in 6. Like why?
So basically, the
I
Emperor
think
was dead. We didn't need to do a whole other trilogy to kill him again.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you mean?
That's what we did. We brought him back to kill him again.
But that blue energy has been
I like the
thorn in my
idea.
side since forever. So it's kind of nice to come back and clear that up.
Somebody,
I'm there with Chris. I just like the fact that we get to go forward with it and see and go back to see what was actually taking place. It's like, what, that happened. The Emperor was killed, and the good guys won the war. But like to go forward with the whole thing and know that there was actually more to it. It's like I love the nostalgia that it brings, but I also love the fact that we have these these stories to put in place and relove to relive Star Wars again. Not that everyone, not that people fell off, but fans that accepted Star Wars as it is, and then when they move forward in 2015 with The Force Awakens, I was just like, holy crap, it's like, and then they kept developing the story. It's like, okay, for the most part, the people that have the divided fans. Some people say no, is all about the books, and they should have told it this way. Mm-hmm. We all have a have a
We I think
but how it's told now. I love every bit of it. And
like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm happy where we're at. Like as far as having content just to move forward and having something to do, and having more stories to talk about and get together and put 2 and 2 together.
The reason why we get it, the same reason we get books, because we just want more story, right?
Yeah.
This is the live action they decided to sell. And they went 30 years ahead so they can have this 30 years in between where they can tell more stories in different types of media.
Sure.
And this way, by ending the Skywalkers, there's no more talk about this. Because that's the reason to having the trilogy is to end the Skywalkers. Otherwise, you're going to be like, what's happening with Luke, Leia, and Han? What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
And now they know the full story, so they can go back and they can fill out those 30 years without screwing things up.
Yeah, they know the end.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was a new trilogy for new fans to take part of. Mm-hmm. It gave us some filler to end our trilogy, and it was cool with our nods of Leia and Luke and what happened to his story. And then we even got to see like young Leia with a lightsaber, which I still want. Awesome. It ended with her taking the Skywalker name. So like it was just the next 3-parter, like I've always said, we have our first, second, now here's the third. And I do like Gordon's comment as far as that's what I was thinking was it'd be a cool comic series. If there was a comic series on what the Emperor was doing to puppeteer Snoke, I would definitely pick that up and want to read that.
Yeah.
That's what my thought was, because like Michael Horling said too, is, well, where has he been? Did he transform into to Snoke? Nobody knows.
Right.
And Mervine thought the whole clone twist felt like a cop-out. It was just to please the fan base. I think, though, that when we saw those clones inside that jar, I think the Emperor actually manipulated the real Snoke at one time. Then he was cloned, and how we said that he had the riches and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was just clone after clone acquiring all the money.
Right.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. Right, because didn't they say originally that Snoke was not only ancient, but he was super rich and everything? And that leads right into that, Ernie. It could have been the passing down of wealth and
Right. It was
establishing this mythos of this ancient character.
his
Right.
financial stability in order to have the first order and then the final order as well.
Well, I get it.
Well, see, was Snoke
Yeah.
was Snoke loaded because of Snoke, or was Snoke loaded because the Emperor was running the galaxy, and he just fed him? He didn't have to earn it.
Well, didn't he own? What was that planet? The one that
Canto Blight.
Canto Bight. Didn't he own that, or
Yeah.
like those casinos or something like that?
I don't think that he owned Canto Bight. I think he frequented Canto Bight.
This is
It was well known there. I think that was the
So-
backstory.
Yeah.
Gambling, Canto Bight was basically our Vegas. So maybe he won all his riches, and the whole time being a puppet of the Emperor, he freaking, used the dark side on the roulette table and so on and so forth.
It also could have
just
been-
He always
gain
bet on
his
black.
riches.
the pawn
Yeah.
issue. It could have been like Snoke and the Emperor could have gotten together a long time ago and said, "Look, I can put my power into you. You could be as powerful as me, and then as rich as you are, and combine while I pretty much reanimate and rest and get the Sith Eternal involved and build up the Sith, all that stuff."
Well, that's what I said before. Didn't he fund the building of the First Order? Wasn't he?
That's what they said. Yeah.
No, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's
So
what I'm saying. Was it really him, or had the Emperor given him the money at that? You know, what I mean, is
Right.
that I don't know that part. But now I'm kind of.
I wish on the Aftermath series books, I wish there was on the contingency plans. I wish there was more mention of Snoke in that, the building of the First Order. We knew what was happening. We knew what the Emperor, like the destruction of the Empire itself, and that rebuilding and putting the best fleet out there, and the mention of, all these things. I just wish there was more of like Snoke was there at the beginning to kind of like bring forward the Emperor's plan. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, remember he was supposed to be ancient and saw all of this. He saw
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning of the Republic type, not the end of the Republic. He was at least Clone Wars era, right?
So maybe
Well, was the emperor saying that, or was that?
That's what I mean. What was it? Was it him? Was it the? I'm kind of screwed up now on the continuity.
that's what I'm saying.
Snoke was actually a bum on the road that the emperor saw and said, I can use him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
He
with,
caught him on the freeway selling oranges.
maybe the original Snoke is that old that we'll see him in the High Republic. Maybe that could be something.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. See, but that's
far
it.
out of
We have the end of the story, so now we can
Yes.
fill all this
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
They don't have to second guess themselves with it.
What I like to think is even the Empire. I know that the Empire came from the Senate, with all that money and the Grand Army. I know that, but to really fund the Empire, you would think Snoke could have been involved in the Empire days too. That would have been very cool to have Snoke this whole time, and then the Emperor's died, transferred his power, just like Voldemort, right? He had to feed on the unicorns to stay alive. He's fed off of Snoke, and eventually it killed him, and he had to clone Snoke, or the Sith Eternal had to clone more that to keep the face of the First Order there,
Yeah.
and people in line.
Well, you think
But at
he
the
was
same time, it's been the Emperor's been feeding off that. Makes perfect sense. You have a naked man that just walks up behind you, Mike.
Mike's got kids going, but doesn't even close the doorway. He pees. Don't move your arm.
So you think Snoke was like an imperial, almost like a politician, like that one dude on Mandalorian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he was in the background the whole time, funding the Empire and being there. I want to think that. I think that would be very cool to. have
Okay.
that, yeah.
Here's another theory. Remember how we were talking about in The Mandalorian whenever they were going after the child and they bring it back to him, and the doctor was a cloner.
Right.
What were they cloning? What were they trying to clone? What are they trying to start there that we
They
might
didn't
see in
want
episode
They just
9?
wanted his blood or whatever it was.
I
from the
say
baby.
Yoda.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
I
they were
see
trying
The
to
species.
clone force sensitive
Right.
creatures. Then why was the Empire trying to learn how to clone?
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine-
To keep, like I
If
said, the
that's-
child
that's
could have
great.
been the unicorn of Voldemort. You know what I mean? Like feeding off the
Yep.
essence of the most powerful source, force sensitive in the
So-
world would be that species.
And if he could essence transfer into
Yeah.
a Yoda,
to
Yeah.
survive, to get more
God.
powerful, to see this
Live
is
forever.
this is the 33
Blow my
years
mind.
that's exciting.
So
right? You know?
so Palpatine's actually doing a little bit more research, and that's what that was all about because
even on the Aftermath books, it's all in place. It's all there. Like you read it again, it's the Emperor had it
Right.
all in plan, all in place.
Sorry, guys.
Upon my demise,
Plus-
this is what you do. and it went into Battlefront.
Right.
You know, it went to all, and it's like a brilliant move on
I
that part.
mean, yeah, the amount of time that he had to put that whole fleet together, the Final Order.
Look, the Sith
I mean,
Eternal did it. You know, like yeah.
It was huge. So the amount of time and the amount of research and the amount of that was put into this whole thing, it's like, yeah, that would be super dope to know that the Emperor had to tie into
like they were building
whole,
those way before their
the
first
child
Death Star,
and
you know, like I would like to think that like the Sith Eternal been around since day one. That could be something where Plagueis was involved with. It was hidden. It was hidden. So.
Oh, now I'm certain that his folks in I lost all their names off the top of my head in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Right. His dignitaries. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In Rogue One, Vader's keeper.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, all these people are Sith Eternal cultists.
And so what
That'd
if we
be
go
amazing.
back to
Wow.
what if we go back to the High Republic, tying in the High Republic as the Sith Eternal being something that is trying to, or they're unearthing this rumor of the Sith army coming back, or the Sith,
Wow.
actual Sith.
See,
yeah.
and darn it, I wish they'd have mentioned some kind of what were they called, Scott, in the Aftermath trilogy? Do you remember?
With the acolytes.
The
Acolyte. There you go.
Acolytes.
The acolytes, and that's and I'm forgetting the guys' names, the people in this thing, but they were mentioned predominantly in there. It would have been kind of cool to know.
Bradshaw and I can't remember the other one. Who is it, Joey?
I'm losing it at Mike's house.
Bradshaw and Farouk.
Yeah, there you go, Chris.
Oh, got it. Good.
Yeah. But yeah. So again, it gets me excited because again, I wasn't excited for the High Republic stuff, right? Just what but we don't know anything about it. But again, having that, what Scott said, we know the final result. The end result is the final battle of Rise of Skywalker. Now let's Scorsese it backwards, and now we have 200 years where things could still in the Star Wars timeline still be brewing. Snoke could be alive. Plagueis, there could be things that happen that in the background of things happening that we're going to see that the Jedi Council are going to be blind to, and we're going to know that as a viewer until the revelation of the Sith and Apprentice are back, or the Master and Apprentice are back, and all that rule of two and everything comes crashing back, and the birth of Anakin. So really cool.
Oh, since you just said rule of two, how about that piece in that in the book about the rule of two? And how that was a necessary, but not as strong as this plan, right? How he had learned from Plagueis the way to be eternal, right? Immortal, right? And how the rule of two was a weaker but necessary stopgap until they figured this out.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So rule of two is out now. It's really he can have as many Sith as he wants.
It's
anymore.
It's all over.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It had to build up to that point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. See. That kind of
Good stuff.
makes me excited for what is coming. Like that. Even like I said, even the conclusion of the Clone Wars and knowing what's going to happen with Crimson Dawn or Darth Maul. And
Let me ask this.
That being said, go ahead, Joey.
That part on the Rise of Skywalker when they did show that jar with those two Snokes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they show like two beings working on them, like if they were trying to?
Yes.
So what would be the point of them trying to clone more Snokes?
Testing them instead of keep testing the Emperor because they're not thinking the Emperor is working. Something's wrong with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
maybe they're
filling.
Maybe they're filling the Emperor with Snoke juice.
Yeah. Well, Chris is right. The Emperor at that point was still not.
He's falling apart.
Rule. He needed the dyad. He needed Rey's
and he
vessel.
didn't even know he needed that.
Yeah, and that's funny. And I was just going to say that, Chris. He didn't even know that he needed the dyad.
Right. It's like Sabaoth, right? They had trouble. He went crazy because they couldn't clone. They just took it 3 steps further, and the body can't handle it.
Right.
That's
right.
all.
Right.
The
Emperor,
instead of going insane over time,
Emperor,
he just can't handle.
The Emperor was dead on the machine.
Right.
So Snoke, I think, Snoke is basically the way to maybe carry on the whole Sith.
Well, like
Sith
Snoke had the
entity?
ideals of the Emperor in his mind the whole time, and carrying out the First Order and destroying planets and doing this, and actually like training Kylo for this point. Because I want to say in the book it was there was something why Kylo wasn't chosen to be the Emperor's vessel, but it was Rey that was chosen. But when they came together, they created the dyad that he goes, "Hey, I need both of you now to come back." Like, why didn't he just raise Kylo to become and use that as a vessel? Why?
He wanted.
Rey?
He thought
Bloodline?
the family. The family was the key.
Gotcha.
That's
What it
what
was.
That's what screwed him up in return.
That's what it was.
And now he's going after their family with his.
Yeah, the
type of
bloodline.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny that it took a Palpatine to save a Skywalker instead of the vice versa. A Palpatine to turn the Sky. It's cool stuff, man.
And then became a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
She rejected the Palpatine. It's just great.
It is good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's cool to get all on this. Go ahead.
I was going to say the book really drives home just how incredibly screwed up the Emperor is too.
Yes.
It's not just a old man with white eyes. It really talks about the smell of the decay.
I love that. Yeah.
It was straight out of a horror novel.
Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Ernie, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's cool to get. We're literally just went off on just Snoke theories and going on. But you know, a question I still always have: why in 7 did he always say "what girl"? Like if he always knew about Rey.
Right.
We still never had that answer. That kind of bugs me.
Right.
Wouldn't it be like that thing of because they were a dyad, there was just something that kind of said there's something else? You know what I mean?
No,
like maybe.
The dyad thing wasn't only revealed into and Rise of Skywalker. That
No, I know that.
Even the Emperor was like, "Holy crap! There's a dyad in the Force again." And,
there was something in the book though about why he said that, and I can't think of what it was. And it was either
in what book?
In Rise.
Okay.
There was something around there about his sensitivity or something. He mentioned the familiarity. Something like, golly.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I'll have to
Got to
listen
read it again.
for the 4th time.
It just always seemed weird to me. Like, you know, the questions that we have that kind of were never answered here. And it's funny because I bet you if our kids watched, 4, 5, 6, I'm sure they would have questions too, as far as, whatever happened here.
There's a lot of
that-
flack on the sequel series not having a plan going into it. And all you got to do is look at the making of Star Wars, the original trilogy, to see there was not a plan.
No.
So
No.
it's
After
not
4,
it's not like
George Lucas was asked to do a sequel, and he was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
the studios wanted a rehash.
The
and he was
prequels
like,
were the
no.
only ones that were planned.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I get it.
And we got 2 out of it, which was fantastic. Thank God they planned it.
Yes.
Stop
Exactly.
it.
Well, anything else from the chat there that you guys can see? Because I'm out of ideas for this episode.
But we're done talking that.
I mean, we could kind of beat it up a little bit more, but I mean,
that's good.
I just like it like it wasn't that finale. I like the fact that like what Ernie was saying, we could still chow down on a Snoke theory, even after we've got all this information, and be like, yeah that can actually work because we Scorsese it, and we dissect it, and like that can work,
Yeah,
Well,
and that's what.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, this is line talk.
Yeah.
That's what that is, right? And that's what that gives us. If they don't give us the answers, we have line talk.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the problem is we do all this line talk now. Then to give me a Snoke answer, and it's nowhere near. We're going to build ourselves up to where that's a sweet answer.
I mean,
and then we're going to get the real answer. It's like, oh crap.
That's true.
You know?
It'll come out in a comic book. It'll come out in a novel, or like I said, maybe the High Republic, and it could have been just like, no, Snoke was is an actual, he
That's his last name. His first name is Bob.
But what I mean is,
Bob
this is
Snoke.
one of those things where the explanation might be worse than letting it just lay.
And that's
right. Let us headcanon it like we used to.
Well,
do.
here's the beauty of Star Wars.
Leave it mysterious.
Here's the beauty of Star Wars is remember what a couple of days ago I came out with 2 questions every day where I was like question of the day, and I was like, did you think Yoda and R2 recognized each other
right
when Luke pulled into? I mean, see stuff like that.
Right.
How it was R2 and Yoda that first went to Dagobah.
Yeah.
To talk to Qui-Gon Jinn. And then they meet up again, and then they both meet up again in Dagobah when Luke goes, and it's like, do you think Yoda and R2 remembered each other when they went for Luke?
I mean, it's almost like there's not that much
They
time
would have
that's
to.
passed that, I mean, I understand the, like what Chris was saying, like he doesn't recognize things that he had years ago. But,
Yeah,
you know,
I had a fridge 19 years ago, and I don't recognize
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
That's what I
R2
used.
is more than a fridge.
That's what
Right,
exactly. What I was supposed to say. That's what I used to tell everybody. Well, that's why he doesn't recognize him, or that's why Obi-Wan says I don't remember owning a droid.
Right.
I kind of get it, but I think him and Yoda. I think that whole thing was at that point it changes my mind after thinking about it. I'm like,
Right.
no, they recognize you. R2's just intelligent enough to know it's not my place to say this. He's waiting.
It's either that or think about this. What Yoda was introduced to Luke, he wasn't the Yoda that R2 knew. It was just strange, same species, joking around, being fumbly, doing whatever as an act, right? Not until he was revealed that he was
Mitchell's
Yoda in the
kicking
hut.
in.
Yeah, when R2 was sneak peeking on the window, is like, that mother, that is the same species.
He knew he was talking backwards green on Dagobah.
Again, Luke had no idea to translate it. His ship was in a swamp, so.
That's the thing that still that's the one major thing that bugs me about the prequels was the need for George to tie everything together.
Yeah.
I don't think
at that point
was
he didn't need
necessary.
to.
Like,
I agree.
like making Boba Fett a clone.
What he should have done was have Obi-Wan holding Luke, dropping Yoda off. If he was going to connect it all, that was the key.
That would
have
have
been
been
awesome. All the time, because
cool.
that way Empire makes sense when he says something familiar about this place. That's
I think he was tugging on. I think he was tugging on the fans' hearts to say, "Hey, look, come back to the prequels because look, I've got everybody in these." You know what I mean? I guess.
But there was no reason to have. I mean, I like
agree.
Jango
I
Fett as a
agree.
character, but there was no reason to bring Boba into it. There was no reason to have. I don't know. I just don't see. There was a lot of connections that weren't necessary, but they were.
No, I agree, but I understand the ploy. Yeah.
I like the Django and Boba thing. I like Boba being a clone of a badass, and I dig that part.
I like the way he said, the only price he wanted was to have a clone of his own.
Yeah.
Right.
But not accelerated growth. I like that.
Yeah, he wanted a son, and I think that was weird. Because Boba Fett, even in the expanded universe, was never just a straight villain, right?
Yeah.
He's a gunslinger, a gangster, but he had a set of morals and all this stuff, and I think that just comes from having a dad, and that's boom, he has a dad, and was raised a certain way.
Old Boba Fett back in the day was, like I said, that mysterious character that intertwined with our heroes of the original trilogy. That now we have him intertwined from the very beginning and a pivotal. His dad was the pivotal clone. That's like, it's just, to me, it's a way too.
Well, didn't we always want to know why Vader gave him respect?
Right.
Like he would let him talk back to him a little bit, being a freaking bounty hunter, and why he singled him out about no disintegrations. I mean, I know you did. Oh, I did. No, it was always like, why could he talk to him like that, and why could Tarkin talk back to him? Right. It was always those things, and Tarkin was a rank thing, and why Boba Fett, though?
Okay, but you go back to A New Hope, and Vader's very first scene on the Tantive 4, he's getting some not smack talk, but they don't revere him like they do in 5 and 6.
No, the one for the very first guy. Yeah, you're right.
Holding,
and that was just like a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was talking to him like if he was talking to another soldier or something.
Well,
exactly.
Because back in that time you had Tarkin and you had the Council, you had, all that stuff, and Vader was just like a soldier, But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that George Lucas did in the prequels that made things way too important, like 3PO being built by Anakin.
Yeah.
Wait, Marco.
Yeah.
Let Chris finish about how cool Boba Fett is. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
My bad.
And then turn off Scott's mic.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Chris.
Mute me.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, right. No, Boba Fett is the coolest, and I think that force tie. I agree with Scott with it. That's why I remember the day that we found out that Boba Fett was going to be, the clone of Jango and stuff. I was just, and Chris and I were together at the time, not together, but we went to go see the movie.
Go on, Marco.
Yeah, I went to go see the movie, but I just turned and I was like, well, never mind. But
I just
like that
the mystery.
That's all. Yeah, the mystery of
I
Boba
like
Fett was
the mystery of the
important.
characters. Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is. We got it. It's there. It's gospel now. So
makes no sense to complain about it 10 years later, 15 years.
I can still complain, but no one's going to listen. So
Yeah, I only have one miss, so that's it. Everything else was cool.
Yeah.
I like the pod race. I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
like it too, man. I thought
Oh,
it was...
two. I'm sorry. That wasn't the miss. That was just too long. Again, a lot of things. I have a short attention span, right? Maybe sit and stare at something that's going to keep going around a track for so long. I'm not a NASCAR fan.
Well,
I don't want
compared to the rest of the Phantom Menace. I mean,
just
that was
like the other just like the other question I had. Do you think Kenobi, after he dropped off Luke,
yeah,
and meditated a little bit, do you think he traveled to Dagobah for Yoda to teach him how to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn?
No,
I don't think so.
I think we nailed that one.
they can come to him because Yoda we know can send himself, right?
Yeah,
we've seen him do it.
Yeah, the dialogue was training I have for you when your moment of solitude on Tatooine to learn to commune with an old friend. And that's what pretty much the trip to Tatooine, he probably told him, like, here's what you do. You draw a circle, you step in it, and salt over your left shoulder, and learn. And then Qui-Gon appeared, So in that solitude of training on Tatooine, again, in the Kenobi series, we can explore that a little bit, where he was meditating and we had visions of Qui-Gon and maybe hearing that. He didn't have to go travel to Dagobah at all. I think that when they went their separate ways, it was, pretty much waiting for Luke to be of age to take up the mantle and go fight for the Republic or the Rebellion. And Yoda was waiting for him on Dagobah. Basically, Obi-Wan knew. Well, he didn't know he was going to die when he faced Vader, but he realized that was his destiny, and everything had like a plan, quote unquote. But no, I think Obi-Wan already had the instruction manual before he got to Tatooine.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's all there in the dialogue. You just have to memorize it and say it backwards. English and Spanish. So. All right. Well, I mean, again, I'm out of things this week to talk about. I'm sure other things will pop up, and
I've got something.
And, go ahead.
Just real quick, as you guys are aware, I'm not sure if our listeners are aware, but our local comic book store, Line Breakers, they are putting together a auction to benefit St. Mary's COVID-19 unit. It's the money that's going to be raised is going to go to supplies to give to the nurses on the front lines during all this nonsense. And that auction is taking place this weekend. I believe it's Friday through Sunday. It might be Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure. But if you go to Line Breakers, it's all one word, Line Breakers, on Facebook, the auction's going to be taking place there.
Nice.
And what it is there's 7 local artists that were asked to actually draw covers for on those blank comics that you can get at the comic shop. I'm one of those artists. I did Darth Vader #1.
And it was dope.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A friend of mine, Justin, did one. A couple other guys I'm familiar with did a couple of comics. So it's all going for a great cause.
Yeah.
So if you'll please, listeners, faithful listeners, log on to Line Breakers, give them a like, and follow this auction. 100% of the proceeds from the comic that I drew, or the comic cover that I drew, are going to go to that charity. So
nice.
Please check it out and bid. Please, the situation is shitty, and pardon my French. And, anything that we can do to help the nurses on the front lines, we need to do it. So
absolutely.
That's it.
I will put the description of Line Breakers in the description also of this episode. So you can click that link and go right to them. And, yeah, man, great cause. And then also, supporting that community of the comic book world, too, which is almost going to collapse with this whole thing.
Yeah. It's crazy. There hasn't been, is the first time ever that there has not been new comics in the last, I think, 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And there's no end to this in sight right now. Yeah. So,
that's why it's important to continue what we're doing, talking Star Wars and using Star Wars as that platform to, get grounded,
I don't know
stay grounded. So,
but I saw an article talking about Disney. They announced Disneyland wasn't going to open anything till after August.
Oh,
what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they said it could be a long time for that. The other plan I saw where they were talking about like big things like sporting events and amusement parks, right? Being into next year.
2021,
They start soft opening things. It'll be soft opening. Places will be every other seat, things like that.
Well,
so celebration's probably done.
Yeah, we haven't heard yet.
Possibly.
We haven't heard yet. But we'll as soon as we hear, we'll announce it. Yeah.
the thing with line breakers too is they could use this money to actually help support them, but they're not. They're giving this money to this charity. So in a time when comic books need this kind of help, they're going above and beyond. So, give line breakers a shout out.
Absolutely.
Go buy. I mean, you can't walk in the store. I don't know what they're doing for sales, but maybe they're going to do sales on their Facebook page. Who knows? But
Well,
yeah,
we'll
definitely. And it will definitely help all the people on the front lines out there who are huge Star Wars fans of themselves. Much love to
Scott
everybody out there who is essential in this or works at a hospital and is a Star Wars fan, like our Grand Admiral Scott.
Absolutely.
And others who also listen, who are there every day. I've been busy. I haven't been able to be in the chat at all. And I'm out there. Feel like, my situation, instead of that, mine actually got more busy. And so everybody's just doing what they can do. So that's a great cause.
Yeah.
Go to Line Breakers, go to Facebook, follow them, check it out. And just like and support is even enough. And then check out the bidding if you want. They're great artists on there. They're great covers. But then just think of that while you're doing that is who it's going to support is other fellow Star Wars fans that are out there who aren't able to catch up on things, who are putting themselves in danger at the same time, who don't have the supplies or needs in a freaking hospital that they need, as Scott has. I've been texting Scott, and it's kind of crazy to hear that. So just remember, there's others out there who are doing their thing and who need this type of support.
Yeah.
Like Scott said, it's not for the store. It's going towards one of our local hospitals. So that's a great thing.
Yep. And that's the hospital that treated me very well earlier this year. So
probably when you had it. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
while you had Corona.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, but
Corona Stones.
Right.
They have a great staff over there, so I will be definitely going on and putting a bid in. Absolutely.
And then in other news, if you guys are out getting essentials, say at Walgreens, they have started receiving in the brand new Black Series stuff, like Dooku.
Oh, okay.
No,
The other
Dooku and that wave.
Okay.
And then if you're at Walmart, this is really, really weird. There's a brand new shipper that is actually hitting stores with the retro figures, the 40th anniversary figures, and the brand new Black Series Boba Fett helmet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
So if you feel that's essential, I mean, I do. You're supposed to wear a mask and cover your face while you're out, and what a better way, right?
Exactly.
Walk in wearing a surgical mask, walk out wearing a Mandalorian helmet.
That's what I'm trying. It's there.
That's
like,
awesome.
Why would they not put it there? That's right there in a shipper right up front. That's essential.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Cover your face.
Yep.
That's what
Stimulus
I'm saying.
check came right in time.
Well,
And if anybody comes across a Trandoshan Thug pop at Walgreens, hit me up.
Okay.
There you go. I looked for you today, Chris, and nothing. That is also dropped, unfortunately. And if you have an extra red Target, I need one of those because that was gone in seconds.
I'm notorious for going to at least 5 or 6 shops a day. I have not been to a store in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's driving me insane. I'm losing my shit.
It drove me crazy because I actually thought, oh, okay, Funko site. Oh, I could get me the red boba. That's cool. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was gone in seconds.
I would say 4 seconds. I heard it was like just done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some things don't change, right? Not even not
No
even
doubt.
the end of the world will change.
And everything's immediately $40 on Amazon or eBay, and I'm like, come on, it'll show up eventually, and I'll be able to get it for $8.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
I hope
patience.
so. Yeah.
it's that new thing that everybody has to get right away. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In our new world, there is still our Star Wars world out there that is still hitting the shelves and still happening. So check it out. But remember the main importance: support those who are helping us every day, such as Grand Admiral Scott out there with Outer Rim Armory and doing his part. And then you have somebody like our Scott Solo, where you can check out the art of Scott on Instagram and see the pictures and see what's going on, and go to Line Breakers on Facebook. And then remember to tell your friends to come join us
Yeah, please.
every Wednesday night on YouTube. we're here and we have more. Marco has videos going up. Scott's going to do videos. I'm going to try and do stuff.
That's the plan.
We got to try and keep it normal, but you guys got to tell your friends. And we had quite a few in here tonight that were chatting it up and in there, but still, guys, remember, you got to hit that thumbs up, give us a like, tell your friends, and come join in some Star Wars talk. And let's bring our Star Wars world back together.
Absolutely. Hit that notification button for future content and subscribe, like, share, tell everybody. Remember, again, we're all in this together. Star Wars is life. We make it life. And yeah, the plan going forward is YouTube, of course, where we're making this a thing. We want to put personal videos up, but in the Star Wars realm, of course, the stuff that we do, we live it. And of all exclusive content, that we do with our podcast. Plus, SoundCloud will also be still a thing. So if you're still used to hearing us on the audio version only, don't worry, that's not going anywhere. And also, you can catch us on rawlivepod.com with the RLU network. They will share our feed everywhere too. So with that, I think it's time to go. It was an awesome show. Thank you guys. Thank you for showing up. You guys taking time out. We're still home, doing this. I want to give you hugs in real life soon. Hopefully that could be a thing. And let's go around the table. Darth Dad, Hot Topics coming soon with that video arcade review. We got to have one of those.
We're gonna do that. I almost did a boxing video, like going through it and installing it, doing a step. No, it would have been horrible. It wouldn't have been PG-13. I mean, it only took me an hour. It wasn't that hard, but I was like, okay, I get frustrated.
That's
easily.
awesome though.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna get that going back up.
Cool.
I'm gonna change it up. I think it's gonna be mostly video driven.
Awesome.
Nice.
Moving forward, because I can do that shorter. I don't feel like the pressure to do a 45 to an hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't have that kind of content by yourself, right? But I can do a quick 10-minute video quite often. So we'll knock those out. So you know how many random dumb thoughts I have during a day? Then I would just start like picking phone up and start recording. And just drop it.
Do it.
Like, randomness of dude, you'd get them all over the place. You get them in the car, you'll get them out back on the lawn, you'll get it when I'm taking a shit. It'll just be like,
send them to me and I'll compile them as Chris's week, and I'll throw that video up like that. So we'll consolidate them.
There you go.
Right on. That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
We're gonna knock that out.
Absolutely do that.
Chris's dailies.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So cool. We'll look forward to that. Thank you, Chris. Scott, thank you very much for your participation in Line Breakers and the beautiful art that you do.
Thank you.
You're like one of my favorite artists. So,
Aww.
And to be a part of our group is awesome. So,
thank you.
Again, where can everybody find you?
Hey, you can find me at number one, Nerd Tunes. We just dropped our latest episode. It's the graduation year episode. So I graduated in 1992 from high school. It's songs from 1992 that mean something to me. And Kevin graduated in 95, so it's songs from 95 that.
It's got to be all Boys to Men and.
All of that, ABC.
MC Light. It's gotta be like the early 90s were horrible, but yeah, go ahead.
So that, and then you can find my artwork on The Art of Scott Solo on Instagram. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Bootleg
Thank
Joe, keep taking those
Early
pictures,
90s, man. That was the heyday of gangster rap right there.
That was
Yes, sir.
well, I don't know about heyday. That was dying back then.
Well, that was
mid late 80s.
That was DJ Quick and all them getting ready to come up. So yeah. Well, anyways, you can find me here at the Sarlacc Digest. I want to give a shout out real quick to Jaime, the Eternal Experience.
Yes.
He's been really pushing me and showing me a lot of different things with photography. So I'm trying to crank him out since we got nothing else better to do than stay home. So I've been spending a lot of time in this room and just.
He's a good dude.
He's very good.
Absolutely.
And he's teaching me a lot. So I just want to give him a shout out and a big thank you.
Cool.
So it's been awesome seeing yours because you've changed a whole lot, advanced a lot.
Yep.
You took it up 10 notches, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think like 11 notches, not 10. That was.
Oh, okay.
You're a low ball.
I was up to 11.
Sorry. I lowballed you
I
there.
thought he was your friend.
Jaime's had a big part in that. He showed me a lot of different things to up my game.
Nice.
Thank you, Jaime.
Absolutely. Hey, fanboy. Thank you for coming, man.
It was my pleasure.
Are you going back
You
to work?
can find
I know you
Fanboy
work
Mike
a
on the
lot.
Starlight Digest. Yeah, I
Okay.
know. My work
Cool.
schedule is too crazy, and I don't know how I'm essential, but I am. So anyhow, but you'll find me here as much as I can. Sorry, guys, but I love the show. I love
Of course,
us.
man. Get into the Clone Wars and pick and choose the episodes you like, man. You'll find some surprises there.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, cool, man. Thank
You
you.
won't
For,
be disappointed, bro.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Fallen Fett, thank you for joining, man. You've been working a lot. I know you guys in Toy Migos have been dropping those daily episodes, which I catch every once in a while when I'm not, D&Ding and raiding and stuff. But anyway, I do catch them. I enjoy them a lot.
Nerd.
I think you guys do a fantastic job over there. But so where can we find you? And I just told you where you can find you, but you say it.
Yeah. Here at the Sarlacc Digest, every other Wednesday. Remember to tell your friends to check us out on YouTube now. And then with the Toy Migos, we have a daily episode at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Any one of us can join. Cheney, of course, runs it all. So you got Cheney 180, you got 80s Baby. Sergeant Bananas has showed up. We got the Prospect playing with myself there. Mervine's moderating our chat, so we thank him for that.
Nice.
And then it's basically just a daily.
We lost her.
Oh no.
Just to get. We've even done Throwback Thursdays and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a lot of fun to when I can jump in there and jump on that, and it's been good. And then you can find us with our weekly show every Thursday night at around 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Cool. And we've had a lot of really cool guests lately that have just ran this toy community a lot. It was
I hate Skype
Skype sucks. Where'd you go, Ernie?
History and toy stuff.
There you go. Cool. Very, very cool. But again, you guys are doing an awesome job. Keep it up, please. It gets us through our week, So, again, everybody, thank you very much. All our listeners, all the people who are in the chat, all the future people in the chat.
Appreciate.
Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. Spread this thing. We want to continue doing this. And
absolutely.
Where can we find you, Marco?
I'm here. I'm just here.
Okay.
Just hanging out, trying to do a new interface for the YouTube and stuff. But no, Sarlacc Digest, thinking of new things to do all the time, new videos, all that stuff. In the description below of this episode, we find all our links for Facebook, IG, our Patreon, our Teespring. We have fan gear that if you guys want to support us to continue better cameras.
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon is another one. The link's in the description below, and it goes to all supporting us. And
not us, but the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
The
The podcast
equipment
with better microphones.
We're not
Look what happened with our last Patreon.
Yeah, that $5 really went far for you.
See all that back there? Patreon.
Exactly.
The only Patreon we have are the six of us.
Hey, exactly.
We have $27.
We bleed for this show. Yeah, exactly.
I bought this curtain.
Again, stay tuned for May 4th to see what we're going to come up with, and we're going to do something really cool. I think we might have to get a Zoom account for that day only or something and do like a watch party of Empire Strikes Back. I would love that. Absolutely love that.
Or house party. That's what I seem to see everybody doing right now. Is anybody else's family or anybody doing house party all the time?
No.
I haven't seen that yet. We do Zoom because that's like the household name nowadays. But
I thought it was free. Though. It wasn't free.
Zoom
is free. 40 minutes. You get 40 minutes, and then if you got to have a pro account to have longer than 40.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But there is house party, and you can sit on it all day.
Okay, so maybe we'll do that. So look for that for us to organize for our May 4th event because we are not going to sit home and do nothing for May 4th. It's still important. It's our
let me see how it works and what we can do, and if we can put them on PCs or anything, I'll take a look.
Cool. Right on. With that, guys,
right on.
Again, thank you, and we are done.
Keep it nerdy, everybody.